Society is about to collapse, and men don't care.
Is World War III inevitable? Are we too blind to acknowledge the worst case scenario, have become too complacent, ignoring the signs that are becoming impossible to overlook with each passing day?
Society is about to collapse and men don't care. So, guys, things are not headed in the right direction. We are quickly approaching a global conflict, global crisis, financial crisis, standoff between countries. Things are going downhill, and men are basically going their own way and walking away. Watch the end of the video to understand why society is about to collapse and men don't care. Now, let's just go ahead and jump right back into the video.
Are we hurtling towards a dangerous period that could arrive sooner than later? According to the British Army chief, the UK must be ready to fight a war in 3 years. A war against an axis of upheaval. Russia, China, Iran, and North Korea. That's the term he used, axis of upheaval. In fact, he warned against a range of threats in what he called is a global problem. Now, with Britain, a nuclear power and UN Security Council member, warning its army to be ready in 3 years, if Britain is sounding the alarm, if the UK Army chief is saying this, shouldn't the world take this seriously? Let's get you the context. On the sidelines of an annual army conference, General Walker, the new chief of Britain's forces, told journalists that he predicts Russian President Vladimir Putin will emerge from the invasion of Ukraine very, very dangerous and wanting retribution against countries like the UK, whether Moscow wins or loses. Besides Putin, but you see, that's just one part of the story. Walker's concerns may stem from China's threatening stance towards Taiwan. Will China invade Taiwan by 2027? It has been widely speculated that Xi Jinping has instructed the PLA to prepare for an invasion of Taiwan by 2027. Around the same time frame as Walker urged the British troops to be ready for a full-scale war. China, though, is not stopping just at Taiwan. It is eyeing the Philippines, particularly the disputed Sabina Shoal in the South China Sea, a flashpoint that could ignite a larger conflict. The question remains, are we prepared to stop pretending that the threat of World War III does not exist? Those too frightened to accept this reality choose oblivion. And you bet Taiwan and the Philippines are taking this threat very seriously. You see, Xi Jinping is not hiding his ambitions. China aims to make the 9-dash line a reality. But then again, this is not the Ming dynasty. The age of emperors and conquerors is long gone. A strategic thinker must deal with the worst-case scenario of a war and the best-case scenario of diplomacy. That's how the game works. General Walker seems to be preparing for all the scenarios. And his stark warnings highlight the urgent need for the British Army to rebuild its fighting power to deter future wars. He cautions against relying on outdated ideas about warfare, urging adaptation to new technologies, transforming the battlefield, such as using autonomous weapons, artificial intelligence, and new technologies to make soldiers more effective. General Walker emphasizes on the urgency of preparing credible land forces to support a strategy of deterrence against Russia, China, North Korea, and a nuclear ambitious Iran. He aims to double the army's ability to fight and kill by 2027 and to destroy an enemy force 3 times their size by the end of the decade. By the way, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has pledged to increase defence spending to 2.5% of the national income, up from just over 2% now. But many defence insiders believe even this boost is too small. So can the UK actually be able to credibly fight a full-scale war with such limited resources without more troops or money? The short answer is no. Like other Western countries, it will be heavily dependent on each other for support. Think about this for a second now. Up to 800,000 troops, 200,000 vehicles, massive amounts of equipment moving within 3 to 6 months of conflict. This is exactly what NATO leaders discussed and reviewed. Early this month, at the Washington summit, NATO's new force model aims to have over hundreds of thousands of troops ready for conducting land, naval, air, space, and cyber operations in the eventuality of a large-scale war. The review found that 500,000 troops were presently ready for any such combat. But will that be enough for the Western forces to protect the current world order?
Now, guys, I want you to take into consideration that despite everything that's happening here, there are still idiots saying that we are not headed for any serious conflicts, that China is not capable of mobilizing, that our friends in Russia are not capable of doing anything, that we're overestimating all of this. We do not need boots on the ground. Keep in mind that our military reserves in the United States are now 1/10 of what they were 50 years ago. 50 years ago, we had almost 2 million people serving in the military reserves. 50 years later, today in 2024, we have less than 200,000. And that number is now set to drop even lower as millennials and Gen Xers retire from the military, which would leave us at around 5% of what the military reserves were 50 years ago. Every branch of the military is struggling to recruit people. Even the Air Force is struggling to recruit people. While they've been able to meet their goals here, gradually, they are still struggling to recruit people. Previously, they had to turn people away. Now they have to actually act. They have to actively engage people. This is how bad things have actually gotten. Every branch of the military is now falling below recruitment goals. And as the years are passing on, numerous groups are retiring. Gen Xers are retiring, older millennials are retiring, and younger millennials, well, they never joined. Gen Xers, on the other hand, Gen Zers, on the other hand, are in really bad shape. They are the most mentally ill generation ever. 77% of Gen Zers were found back in 2020 to be unfit to serve in the military. That was as a result of studies conducted from 2017 through 2019 and then released in 2020. 77% of Gen Zers are not fit to serve in the US military because they're either too fat, too mentally ill, or on drugs. Some of you might say that I'm making these numbers up, but no, there it is on your screen. 77% of young Americans, this comes from American Military News, 77% of young Americans too fat, mentally ill, or on drugs or more to join military, Pentagon study finds. So you cannot go any higher than the Pentagon. This comes directly from the Pentagon, and illustrates just how bad it is. And keep in mind, this study is outdated. It goes back to 27. It was from data taken from 2017 through 2019. We already know that things got much worse after 2020. It would not be far-fetched to say that the U.S. military would not want to actually release an updated study. But what we do know is that they're actually now saying that because our military has shrunk so much, now they're talking about not only is there a bill that is set to be passed that would automatically draft both men and women to the to the draft, but they're also saying, this is coming from the Pentagon, this is coming from the military, that they are now pushing for required military service. So they would like to start a draft regardless of worries of concerns about war or any global conflicts. You have to remember that the military does more than fight and defend us. The military oh god, the military does more than defend us. the military actually the military also helps with things like infrastructure. Helps with things like infrastructure. I mean, they help. I mean, they're there in times of crises. You know, that's the Coast Guard. You know, they mobilize for a lot of various things. If if there's a serious thing happening, we will. They'll mobilize to hand out aid, provide aid to clear debris. The military, to repair vehicles, to provide medical aid, food, all of these things. These are the things that the military does. They do not simply defend us, and we do not have the military reserves. For example, they're a big part of not just national defense, but helping in case of crisis. We don't have that anymore. We cannot take care of ourselves, and there are idiots who are like, we don't need to worry about that. We have drones that can handle this. They will fight our wars for us. We have AI that'll handle this. The main point is that we do not need boots on the ground. These people are crazy. These people are crazy. I mean, that's the reason why the military is now saying they want to do mandatory. They want to do a draft so that they can have people to actually serving, right? Actually serving. So automatically signing up Gen Zers for the draft, they would now also institute mandatory military service, because the military has shrunk so much that we're in absolutely catastrophic state. And like I said, that we are now set to have a military one fifth of the size it was 50 years ago, even though our population has grown substantially. It's an absolute national disgrace.
The heads of the Commission on the National Defense Strategy told the Senate Armed Services Committee that the United States is nowhere near prepared for the dangerous multi-threat environment it's facing.
The public has no idea how great the threats are.
Commission Chairman Representative Jane Harman and Vice Chair Ambassador Eric Edelman issued a dire warning to the committee Tuesday.
The homeland, if there's a conflict, is not going to be a sanctuary anymore, and the first attacks will likely be in the cyber domain, and they will be incredibly disabling.
The public is essentially clueless about the massive cyber attacks that could be launched any day by our adversaries, not just nation states, but rogue actors as well.
The report warns a cyber war with China or Russia would be devastating. America's critical infrastructure would come under attack, possibly cutting off power, water, transportation, and financial systems, and shutting down the supply chain. The report states major war would affect the life of every American in ways we can only begin to imagine. The report echoes a warning FBI Director Christopher Wray gave Congress.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
One of the things we might anticipate, for example, is if China decides to annex Taiwan, or whatever euphemism they might use, they might engage in a major cyber attack here first, for which we are underprepared.
The commission found the U.S. defense sector lacking in almost every area, including integrated weapons technology platforms and software. With recruitment levels for all branches lagging, America needs a larger fighting force, and the hearing discussed lowering physical standards for recruits and even instituting a draft.
We found that the joint force is at the breaking point of maintaining readiness today. Adding more burden without adding resources to rebuild readiness will cause it to break.
And with so many cyber threats, the commission also said the Pentagon must find a way to somehow lure the best and brightest computer minds away from Silicon Valley and into national service.
Now, guys, notice what she said. We are facing a collapse of the U.S. military. The U.S. military is about to collapse because it is so understaffed, and they are recommending instituting an immediate draft, not to protect us and defend us, because we are at the point where we almost do not have a military anymore. And there are some of you who are like, angry, you're overstating it. It's not happening. We don't have to worry about any of this. I'm more in the camp of guys who are like, you know what, we don't care. Fine. Cool, bro. You don't care. Great. But don't sit around and say that this is not happening, that we are not in very, very bad shape. They are telling you we are in bad shape. And then when people see crazy things happening, like crazy laws being passed, they're like, how is this happening? We don't understand how it's happening. Guys, this is the reality. You know what's funny? We just had so as we're working on the video, we have Gen Zers who are complaining in the chat, leaving horrible comments saying Gen Z is better than you. Guys, these people are extremely mentally ill. All right? They are the most mentally ill generation over the last 100 years. Their level of mental illness is absolutely frightening. Absolutely frightening. Now, how bad is their mental illness? Okay, check this out. So Gen Z more likely to report mental health concerns. And they did a survey from the APA. This is the American Psychological Association. So this comes from the APA. This is how they diagnose mental illness. And what they found is that 75% of Gen Zers are struggling from significant sources of stress, and 91% of Gen Zers have reported some form of mental illness. 91%, y'all. 91% of Gen Zers have, all right, more than 9 in 10 Gen Z adults, 91% say they've experienced mental illness, at least one physical or emotional symptom because of stress, such as feeling depressed or sad or lacking interest, motivation, or energy. Okay? This is madness, and only half of the Gen Zs feel like they're doing enough to manage their stress. So, guys, they're stressed out even though they're not doing anything. They're living with their parents, but they're stressed out. Guys, they can't handle this. You have to remember that for us, we were built for tough times. Our childhoods, for Gen Xers, our childhoods were crap, and we thrived. Many of us thrived in it. All right. Now, don't get us. We're still traumatized kids on the inside, but we're still laughing on the inside too. That's why we end up with these. That's why a lot of us have these very very cynical personalities, But when you look at Gen Z, they're done. Stick a fork in them, they're done. Many of them are becoming NEETs, not in education, employment, or training. They're withdrawing completely from society. They forget about many of them are not being physically intimate with anyone. They're refusing to get driver's licenses, instead relying on Uber to go everywhere. That's if they'll even leave their homes. It's getting horrendous. Now, to make matters even worse, while 91% of Gen Zers have reported mental illness, it's stunning, because on top of that, on top of the 91% that have reported mental illness, there's another percentage of Gen Zers, a quarter of Gen Zers are suffering from long-term mental health issues. And this is actually a study from the UK. So almost a quarter of Gen Zers are now claimed to have long-term mental health conditions. This basically are deliberate. I can't even pronounce it. They're basically conditions that will be with them more than likely over the course of their entire lives, and they would be able to file for disability. This means that they are not functional within society. And while you can work with them, these are people who are basically, a quarter of them are disabled. So a quarter of 91% of Gen Zers are mentally ill, and a quarter of all Gen Zers are mentally disabled. Mentally disabled, y'all. Okay? So they cannot, back in 2020, 77% of them were found not fit to even serve in the military. And fast forward 4 years after the events of 2020, it's even worse than that. Now. We know that it's way higher than that. It's way higher than that. It was already almost 80%. All right. So it's now likely almost 100% of Gen Zers are not fit to serve in the military. They cannot protect the country. When they reinstitute the whole draft, the reality is that they're going to be coming for older for millennials and Gen Xers. And obviously Gen Xers are like, if they mess around, they're going to find out. But but this is where we're at right now. And we live in a society where men are absolutely hated and detested by society, but then at the same time, society is demanding that we protect it. And women, on the other hand, they're I don't know what the heck they're planning, because if there's a draft instituted, they're going to all go and get pregnant, and they're going to be, the same crap's going to occur. Oh, you're not being a real man. We need to put out a massive campaign to let men know that it's all about sacrifice. You need to sacrifice yourself, men. All right, and there'll be a reward waiting for you in heaven. It's insane stuff. Absolutely insane stuff. I've got these Gen Zers in the comments. They're going absolutely ballistic. Stop talking about Gen Z. Elizabeth says something really incredible. She says Gen Z is under the influence of Satan. That's not a far-fetched statement. I just dropped another video for you recently, and or it'll be coming out in a few hours, and it's actually quite interesting because Gen Z is absolutely under the influence of Satan, especially Gen Z women. Why do I say, and young millennial women, why do I say that? Well, look no further than the literature that they're currently reading. Many of them have actually turned to the Satanic Bible.
Hey everybody, my name is Kyra, and I would like to read to you a small portion of the Satanic Bible. For those of you following along at home, it is page 40, the chapter here called Wanted God, Dead or Alive. I know that's backwards. Then we're going to skip down to the second paragraph. Anyone who thinks of Satan as evil should consider all of the men, women, children, and animals who have died because it was God's will. Certainly a person grieving the untimely loss of a loved one would much rather have their loved one with them than in God's hands. Instead, they are consoled by their clergyman, who says, "It was God's will, my dear."
They would much rather have their loved ones with them than in God's hands. Guys, what kind of lunatic... Guys, this is what Gen Z is out here doing. Oh, but it doesn't end just there. Because let's look at the kind of literature that Gen Z is reading. In addition to things like the Satanic Bible, let's look at the kind of media that they're watching. There was like, the millennials, they had the whole thing with the vampires. But those vampires were just vampires. They weren't actually demons. Not saying it was good. But, no, let's see what Gen Z is actually doing.
Bro, I saw this. Look.
Barnes & Noble added a monster, enjoyer section.
Now, I'm not gonna say it. Fuck it, I'm gonna say it. How the fuck do women have any room to say men are degenerate when they have literal books at Barnes & Noble about fucking Baphomet? What the hell is going on? Every single one of them it's a girl, and this weird, it's not even a dude. It's what is this?
One book I never get tired of talking about is Demon Dream by Al Kaysen, so I had to run it back for our November book club pick. If you don't already know, I have a book club over on the Geneva app, and every single month we vote on our next Black romance pick. If you spend any time on this page, I am a thriller girly through and through. That's what most of my...
Tell me why I finished reading this book, Demon's Dream, on Kindle for a second time. Y'all see this? This book is over 700 pages. She thick. Tell me why I read this book for a second time in a day. I started it early yesterday morning and I finished it later in the morning today.
Gonna have a stalker boyfriend or a violent mafia boss like the other ones?
Nope.
Oh, really? It must be more tame.
You're in for a treat.
Huh? All the female main characters moved back to her hometown. Is this gonna be like a cute high school sweethearts reunite type of romance?
No.
Well, switching to the male love interest point of view. Holy shit, he's a demon?
Yes, he is.
Like, actually?
Mm-hmm.
When you said this wasn't a stalker or mafia romance, I didn't think she'd be getting with a demon.
You didn't ask.
I just kind of assumed. Great, so now the demon is stalking her. So it's a stalker-demon romance.
The best type of romance.
How do you even find these books?
These books just kind of find me at this point.
He's covered in tattoos and piercings.
Yes, he is.
I feel like that would make him stand out at Sunday brunch.
Do you think a demon is going to Sunday brunch?
I don't know what demons do. His tongue is split and forked.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I kind of into that?
Yeah.
And claws?
He can use those claws on me anytime he wants.
Oh, girl, keep it in your pants. In an alleyway?
Oh, just wait.
In a cemetery?
Oh, so cute.
Babes, they're literally having spicy time on someone's headstone.
That's so Mary Shelley of them.
What the hell? Oh shit, there's a bunch of evil monsters out to get her. Wait, where'd they all go?
He took them all out.
All of them?
Yeah, he's a powerful demon.
Okay, I'm starting to get the appeal. Oh, he saved her cat from all the monsters. That's so cute.
I feel like I'm starting to convert you.
Hey, wipe that smirk off your face. He's giving her piercings where? While doing what?
Oh, so romantic.
Girl, ow!
What's got you giggling?
He said not a goddamn thing is taking you from me, baby girl. No man, no god'll kill them all.
Oh, he's so baby girl.
This is not fair.
What do you mean?
Are you telling me this demon is actually thinking nothing has ever felt so right, so complete as holding her in my arms?
Oh, yeah, he's so cute.
Damn, this demon's more thoughtful than my ex.
Journal didn't give y'all weird vibes from the jump. I mean, it's literally called a shadow work journal. I don't know how some of y'all thought that this was like a therapy book, but that is literally a demonic witch's grimoire. And if you don't believe me, I'm okay with showing you something. So let's start with what shadow work actually is and where it comes from. So for one, it's called shadow work because it's the psychology of dealing with your shadow self. Actual name for it is Jungian psychology, and it comes from a specific person. And it's so simple because if you just look up where did shadow work originate, you'll see that it comes from the Jungian psychology, and according to Jung himself, a personality includes the persona, which is the personality that people show the public, and the shadow self, which remains private or hidden. So that explanation of shadow work should be the first red flag, because that book is marketed at therapy and dealing with your inner child.
Dragon's Bride. 5 Shades of Grey is the same crazy shit, dude? Yeah, but at least 50 Shades of Grey is a guy. All I'm saying is I don't ever want to hear about the things that men like are disgusting. Look at this. This is crazy. And it's out in the open. It's okay, hear me out.
He is in God's hands now, my son. Such phrases have been a convenient way for religionists to condone or excuse the mercilessness of God. But if God is in complete control and as benign as he is supposed to be, why does he allow these things to happen? Certainly that is all very subjective. Christians will have a very different opinion on that than atheists.
I love reading A Demon's Guide to Wooing a Witch by Sarah Hawley, which is the sequel to A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, which I absolutely freaking adore. One of my favorite rom-coms of all time. It is so much fun. I was not prepared for like how hilarious the antics in this book were going to be. It's better than I was expecting. I'm not exaggerating when I say I am laughing out loud on almost every single page. Stroth wakes up with amnesia after getting his ass beat and finds out he was banished to Earth by one of the other like demon bosses. Lydia is the only one who can help him. Caladia has like such an attitude problem and a violent streak in like the best, most entertaining possible way. This demon so much as looks at her wrong, she's reminding him that she can use her magic to explode his testicles clean off of his body. This poor guy can't remember his own name, where he comes from, or anything, but like he gets random flashbacks of memory. He remembers that his mother is Lilith, like the mother of all demon. And in this story, she is also a horrible demonic monster, but she also likes to write tentacle fanfiction about Henry VIII on AO3 in her spare time. Like, this poor guy can't remember his own name, but like they're driving in the truck and a Taylor Swift song comes on and he knows every single word and he's singing along because like he's listened to that song so many times in his past that the lyrics are like deeply engraved in his memory, more so than his own name. So I heard there's a scene later on with competitive foreplay.
Jesus Christ. Competitive foreplay with a demon. Oh my God. Oh my God. H. Roderick says, all USA Gen Z take pills daily to get through the day. Women taking antidepressants like it's candy. Yeah. Yep. Elizabeth says they are under the influence of the devil. Scully says, bring back the sanitariums. Gen Z needs them. Peter says, demon possession and mental illness overlap quite a bit. Lying Gel says, Liang Cell says, leaving the USA. Wow. Holy cow. Liang says, I'm Gen Z. I'm not going to stay in the US. Not going to stay here with your peeps, little buddy. Oh, God. What the living hell are we witnessing? Mouse says they should just ban being Gen Z. That wouldn't get rid of them. Robert says Gen Z is emotionally unstable victims of public schools. Okay. CMDR says that they're a bunch of weaklings. Oh boy. Colin says mental health conditions are showing from them even now. Peter says, what's the autism rate for Gen Zers? It is higher than any other generation. It is higher. Gen Z has the highest rates of autism of all previous generations. I know I read that somewhere. Yeah. Unbelievable. You know what's terrible? So Shadow says, man, seeing the N-word in the chat, really? Guess who, guys, do you know who was leaving? So someone came to the chat and started spamming. They started spamming the N-word, but then they also, not only the N-word, but then they also started using the word. I can't say the word, but it's a derogatory term for people who are Caucasian. So and they were basically angry about discussing Gen Z. These are the types of people that try to do things like create race wars, because they're literally attacking both black people and white people. So which side are you on? Obviously, they're trying to start some crap, but they're not smart enough to they're not even smart enough to just play one side at a time. They're so greedy that they go after both groups at the same time. Gen Z is horrible. And then at the same time, then they're like, leave Gen Z alone. Leave Gen Z alone. N-word. Leave Gen Z alone. Leave Gen Z alone. The derogatory term for white people. What the living hell? Oh my God. God help us. These people are so bad. They're so evil. I'm sure there's some decent ones out there. I still haven't met one in my entire life. And even even the ones who seem to come across as decent, you give them time. You really have to observe them for like a while, because give them enough time and they'll show you who they are. Robert says Gen Z learned how to be victims in public schools. All right. Simon Belmont, Castlevania, y'all, says majority of diagnoses were given on men. Majority of diagnoses given on men are by women. There's a book about satanic feminism per Faxned. It would make great content, ideas exposing them. So let me make it clear, I'm not speaking poorly of feminism. Part of it is because, the platform we're on has mandated we're not allowed to. But more so, we're looking at individual responsibility, and women chose to go down this path. They chose this. They created it for themselves. They've helped to create the reality we are now living in. And of course, like I said, this is not blaming all women. There are many decent women in the world. There are many godly women in the world, and there are some godly women left in Western society. But many of their voices are silenced because of the ungodly individuals. Let's keep going. Oh gosh. Rush says young men were victims of their mother's BS, crap in schools, false allegations, etc., etc., etc. They see what's been done to their friends as well. They've been treated like crap. Absolutely. Raver says, there's only one word we should spam in chat, and it is this. The term for a bottom. Okay. Well, at least there's some comedy still happening here. Let's see here. Simon says, no greater love is this, the sacrifice for your friends. Sacrificial love for loved ones is sweeter than sacrificing to demonic people. Let me make this clear. We should, as men, we should not be sacrificing ourselves for friends and family, all right? Just because they are friends in our family does not mean we should sacrifice for people who would not sacrifice for us. If your friends and family would not sacrifice for you, why the hell would you sacrifice for them? Okay? It goes both ways. There's no greater. Listen to me. It's a give and take thing. It's transactional. My work, my life is valuable to me. I don't care about the notion that I'm here to serve and provide and protect and endure hardship for others just because I'm a man. And God is going to be rewarding me in heaven, and I will be given a legacy for it. A legacy of being a simp. Liang says 2 recessions in 20 years. Let's see. Gen Z went through 2 recessions. Gen Z was insulated from these so-called recessions, okay? They were 100% insulated from them. They were living at home with their parents. They had really comfortable lives. Let's make it very, very clear. All right? Veronica says, Gen Z. Mr. Kilroy says, weak minds worship Satan. It's control, and I agree with this statement. I agree with this statement so damn much. Religion has nothing to do with God. Religion has pushed so many people away from God. I said this so many times. It destroys our relationship with God. Roderick says, witchcraft is back on the table. The truth of the matter is that it never really left. It never really left. It's just now out in the open and celebrated. Oh, Todd's around. Shout out to Todd. He says, I've got my popcorn, milk duds, and Coke. Oh man, now I want some milk duds. Enjoying the show with while I munch. I want some milk duds now. You should have brought up milk duds. I want some milk duds now. Gallic says, I think we are at the start of a Great Depression. 100% agree. Yaj says, hello, angry guy. Shout out to Rush, to Yaj. Let's see here. Mouse says, it's the beer. Remember when women said they would rather the beer? Colin says, recessions happen every 10 to 12 years. It's been that way. It has been that way all the while. Okay. Charlie says, they are Christian. They're Gen Z Christians. That's not saying much. Let's see here. Gen Z. Guys, this group of people are so disgraceful. So disgraceful. They have no God inside of them. They are just looking for everything demonic to hold on to, and they are proud of it. They're putting their witchcraft books out in public, demonic books out in public. Women are worshiping demons, romancing with demons, and everyone's supposed to just play along and act like it's normal and natural. It's insane stuff. It's absolutely insane stuff.
Becoming a national security issue, the military not reaching recruitment goals to refill the ranks, the shortfalls impacting some branches more than others. A Pew Research Center report showing that only 23% of young people actually even qualify for the military, and the majority of Americans 18 to 29 have a negative view of the armed forces altogether. So News Nation's Ryan Bass is looking into this. And Ryan, I'm interested, with such a decline, could we see mandatory military service becoming something that we start to see again?
You know, Anna, politicians on both sides agree that this is a really big crisis here in terms of military recruitment numbers. But it seems pretty far-fetched from anyone we've spoken to that a president could enact some sort of mandatory military service to try and fix that problem. I mean, we haven't had a draft since 1973, and enlisting in the service is voluntary.
If you notice in the previous video I played for you earlier, the Pentagon actually said that they are recommending mandatory military service using a draft because the number of people serving has fallen so low that the military is about to break. It's about to break. Okay? The people that are currently in the military are so overworked, trying to hold everything down, that we are about to see it fall apart. The current people who are holding down the military can't do it anymore. It's so bad they are discussing lowering the requirements to join the military, guys. You don't want to lower the requirements. You really don't. Okay? You don't lowering the requirements and giving waivers. Oh, I use drugs. We'll give you a waiver for that. You want drug addicts. We're going to give people waivers. We're going to give drug addicts waivers so that they can be dragged off into the military. I have severe mental illness. Oh, no problem, son. We'll give you a waiver. We'll give you a waiver. Okay? I'm severely overweight. Not a problem, my man. We've got a waiver for you. I can't read. Listen to me. Do you know how many people have done amazing things in this world who are illiterate? I can tell you stories all day long, all right? We've got a place for you, young man. And you too, young lady. We've got a place for all of you. Like, this is a sick society that we live in. This is a sick society. Peter says, yes, it's all Babylon, Sodom, and Gomorrah, etc. Oh, it absolutely is. It absolutely is. This is a sinking ship. Like, anyone that's even being a little bit honest will admit this is a sinking ship. It's a sinking ship, and the destination is nowhere. It's like we're going. It's hell. It's 100% hell. And then to top it off, guys, what's happening? They're literally spying on us. Like, they are looking for every way possible to spy on us. Like, even the YouTube, like, they're monitoring the videos that we're watching on YouTube.
FBI has been monitoring what you watch on YouTube, and they're demanding Google give them all your info if you watch certain videos. Now, this just became public out of a case in Kentucky, where the FBI was granted the right to spy on up to 30,000 people over this. And they want Google to give your IP address even if you accidentally watch these videos. This is crazy. And they'll be gathering all your emails, all your phone numbers, all your contact information, your entire watch history. Now, specifically, they were going after people that watch money laundering tutorials. But this is the federal government. They're just testing the waters with this here. You know they're going to start implementing this on things they don't want us to have, like free speech and the Second Amendment. And I grew up, you know, I'm a 90s kid, so the internet is supposed to be for free speech and communicating worldwide and sharing knowledge. Now, obviously, the internet became a total shitstorm. But back in the 90s, we didn't know that. And I would watch out, because I believe if the FBI can do this, other federal agencies like the ATF can start implementing these rules.
The bearer of bad news, but the federal government just said that they're going to be spying on you playing video games to combat extremism. It seems the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security are going to be partnering with gaming companies to fight extremist gamers. Government Accountability Office
They did this after 9/11 too.
Says that the FBI and DHS should use the same strategy that allowed them to police extremism on social media to regulate the gaming industry. And the Anti-Defamation League, super reputable, says that 20% of adult gamers and 15% of kids playing games report being exposed to white supremacy while gaming. What constitutes extremism? You may ask, racially or ethnically motivated violence, anti-government or
Abortion, animal rights.
or environmental
What
extremism.
the
If you're
fuck?
pro-life, apparently, and all other domestic terrorism threats, which the FBI has already said includes going to church on Sunday. This is super constitutional.
That's crazy. I wonder how true something like this is. I hear something crazy like that, and I always kind of have a little bit of this seems too extreme for me to just believe a TikTok about it. But I could see it happening again, because we did something similar to this after 9/11.
Yeah, guys, this is a mass surveillance, automatically dragged off to the military and forced to serve for and be involved in something that you don't want to be involved in. Like, guys, they tried forcing prisoners to serve during Desert Storm back in the 90s. They gave them a choice. They were like, okay, you can go to prison or you can serve in the military. Some of them elected to serve in the military. So they gave them some training, send them over to the Middle East, and it was a terrible failure, because if you're a prisoner, you're a slave. That's how I think it was the 14th Amendment, one of those, where it basically allowed slavery in the U.S. because you're basically a slave. If you're a prisoner, you're a slave, and they sent them overseas. And what ended up happening is the prisoners who were forced to join the military, they could either go to prison or be in the military. They went overseas and they began being involved in acts of friendly fire, deserting their post, a variety of different things. It was a horrible failure. And that's one of the reasons why you are not supposed to force people to serve in your military. And you definitely don't have slaves or prisoners, as they would like to call them, serving in your military. Even in the Roman Empire, they clearly barred slaves from being allowed to serve in the military because they knew that these people will actually turn on you. They'll deceive you. They know that you are not their friends. You are their master. You are their ruler. You are their oppressor. If we actually look at this document right here, in ancient Rome, slaves played various roles in society. While they were not permitted to serve in the Roman army, they were involved in other aspects of life. Unskilled or low-skilled slaves worked in fields, mines, and mills, while skilled and educated slaves held positions such as artisans, chefs, and personal attendants. Interestingly, some slaves were even educators, secretaries, and physicians. However, military service was off limits to them, and legal texts explicitly forbade it. Roman generals did acquire slaves to campaign through campaigns abroad, but these captives were not used as soldiers. Instead, they were sold into servitude. So, while slaves were an integral part of Roman society, their role did not extend to military service. And yet, today we are told as men that we need to go and sacrifice ourselves for society. Okay? We are modern day slaves. We have special privileges. Oh, we're allowed to leave the cage. They can always call us back. Look at the Philippines, where they've reduced it, where you can no longer stay 6 months in the Philippines anymore without getting a visa. Now you can only stay 2 months, and you have to go to the office in the Philippines every 2 months for an extension. And now they are scrutinizing you heavily. And this is not because of the Philippines. Oh no, it's because of the United States and other countries that no longer want their men being able to leave the country. In other words, they'll let you go on vacation, but they're not going to allow you to go to another country and disappear. This is the reality. We are property. They view us as property. And they are pissed off. They're like, oh, do you really think that we're going to let our property just go like that? It's sick. It's absolutely sick. It's ridiculous. All right? You have to understand, as a man, they view you as property. Look at what, guys, anytime there's a national crisis, be it a war or something else, what ends up happening is the men are not allowed to leave the country. The women are allowed to flee with the children. Men 18 and older are not allowed to leave the country. And while they may not force them to go and fight in the war, they will leave them there to suffer and to pass away as a result of it. 18 and older. And even after the crisis has ended, it doesn't matter because they're not going to let you out of the country until the country is rebuilt. Because I said this plenty of times and I'll say it again. A country without its men is not a country. A country without its men is a wasteland. If you want to destroy a country, destroy the men. And if you want to destroy the men, use the women to destroy the men. Mao says, how are atheists and Satanists? Honestly, I don't really care. Atheists are just minding their own. If they're minding their own business, good. It's the Satanists you have to really be concerned with. Absolutely insane. Mayumi is here. Shout out to Mayumi. She says, some of you may not agree, but learn to use a firearm. Don't be a victim, my husband says. Absolutely agree. Law says that for women, vampires and werewolves were not enough. Nope. Now they need demons. Angel wasn't enough. Buffy could not. Buffy got tired of Angel. She was like, oh my gosh. Vampires are so 1990. So 1990. 2024 Gen Zers are like, demons, bro. Demons, man. Yeah, demons. Those people who hate God? Me too, man. Me too. Guys, I remember once where I said that Gen Zers don't believe in God. I said that Gen Zers don't believe in God. And a Gen Zer made sure to reach out to me to let me know. He said, oh, no, it's not that we believe he exists. It's just that we don't care. Keyword care. Who believes in the existence of God but does not care for him? A demon? All right? What are Gen Zers doing right now? Having romantic relationships with demons? Oh my God. These people are so crazy. So crazy. Vampires and werewolves are supernatural beings. I'm not saying it's good, but they're supernatural creatures, okay? And werewolves are not necessarily evil, all right? Demons, they're evil, all right? They are demon. They're called demons for a reason. They're not good. My gosh.
For me personally, I think it's a very powerful excerpt. If God is so loving and benign, why does he allow for such suffering and loss?
My God. Do you hear these people? Do you hear the evil that comes out of the mouths of these people? And then these are the people that are very fast. They'll quickly say that they are victims if they don't get what they want, if they don't get their way. And we allow this. They are operating out in the open right now. They are committing unspeakable acts out in the open right now. And we can't stop them. It's absolutely sickening. Absolutely sickening. Lord says, my first time catching Angry Guy live. Shout out to Lord. I'm glad you're able to catch the show live for once. Hope you're enjoying it. Mochi says, hola, buenos dias, buenas noches, ¿qué tal, cómo está? Yaj says, satanic death cults, yes. Crypto says, we're witnessing the end of days. The lead up to the second coming. I don't think Jesus is gonna bail us out from this, bro. He didn't bail us out during World War II. He didn't bail us out during the what do you call that thing? The Dark Ages, where we also had the bubonic plague and humanity almost completely ceased to exist. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get bailed out on this one, bro. He's not gonna come and rescue us from high inflation. I mean, I could be wrong. I'd be more than happy if he popped up. I'd be on my knees, But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get that lucky, bro. I don't think we're gonna get that lucky. Meso says only fools needs to be banned already. It's coming. It's coming. 100% it's coming. Crypto says Gen Z equals snowflakes. Don't disagree with that. Let's see here. No, they are 100% snowflakes. Gaelic says, yeah, brainwashing men to be simps and bucks. Yeah, it's disgust. It is so disgusting. It is so disgusting. You know, like our society is insane, guys. We have this thing called surveillance pricing happening right now, where they're basically checking whatever you spend. So, for example, if you walk into a store, they're like, they'll basically, they could basically just jack the prices up on you, specifically online. So they track your cookies, like whatever you buy online, and the price that you pay is not the same price that other people will pay. This is what they're engaging in. It's so insane.
The Federal Trade Commission has launched an investigation into what's called surveillance pricing. That's when companies use someone's personal data, like browsing, even credit history, to sell them a product at a different price than what other consumers might see. The FTC ordered information on this from 8 companies earlier this week, including MasterCard and JPMorgan Chase. Software company Revionics said in a statement to the Associated Press, it, quote, does not develop software that recommends pricing targeted to specific individuals. Let's bring in Ashley Gold. She's a tech and policy reporter for Axios. Ashley, scary, makes me want to clear all my cookies now. I don't even know if if that would help. But what is surveillance pricing? What would an average consumer, how would they see this on a daily basis?
I think the problem is if it's happening, a consumer wouldn't actually know that it's happening. They wouldn't see it. This is stuff that's happening on the back end. These companies, the companies you just listed, they are marketing an ability to use AI, to use other mechanisms like algorithms and just tracking of things like bank statements and behavior, like you said. And they're selling the ability to have those insights in real time and tell retailers about them to sort of name their price for customers depending on what they're up to, where they paid recently. So if you're seeing a price on a website that has been served to you based on this practice, I don't think there's any real way you would know from your end as a consumer.
I mean, that feels like the rub there, that, if it's happening, people should at least know. How are the companies responding to the FTC investigation?
Basically, when you get a request like this from the FTC, all you can say is you're going to comply with the investigation. I know MasterCard said they're going to comply with the investigation, and the other company you listed said that they don't do that. But the devil will be in the details. These companies are going to have Revionics that you listed. These companies are going to have to cough up a lot of internal information that they wouldn't normally be compelled to share with a government agency, but the FTC has the authority to study these companies under something called a 6B authority. So, all they can do is say they're complying and cough up the information, and then the FTC will determine if there's any wrongdoing or not. But, it's smart for them to say, we have nothing to hide, but go ahead, we'll open our books and you can take a look at what our practices are.
So this is obviously the very beginning, but what would be some potential outcomes of an investigation like this that could benefit consumers?
Yeah, so the FTC could find that this is a widespread practice. They could find that it's not a widespread practice. They could find that it's quite insidious and uses a lot of people's personal information to set wildly different prices for people. Or maybe they find it's consumer friendly and it makes more sense. I have a feeling that's not the case, especially because we've seen supply and demand pricing has also been a common thing recently on concert tickets and stuff like that. It's all part of this sort of new ecosystem of companies wanting to use AI and sell the ability to use AI, get customer insights to set prices, do other things, customize things for companies. And, that's not always, that doesn't always come out in a way that's good for customers.
Yeah, guys, it's sick. It's sick. They're trying to just look for new ways to take advantage of society, take advantage of people, surveil people. Guys, our society, I don't think that Jesus is going to come and rescue us from tyranny, not right away. Change of Heart says, Gen Z is the worst generation to ever exist. It's hard to argue with that. Don't get me wrong. Gen Alpha are going to be absolutely terrible, and when they're already here, they're destroyed, they're wreaking havoc. And we need to remember that when Gen Alpha starts, becoming prominent and coming into the public's realization, like, oh yeah, they're bad people. That doesn't mean we should take the pressure off Gen Z, because Gen Z will try to do what other generations do, like, oh yeah, look at that, see, look how bad those alpha kids are. Now you can stop talking about us. Like, no, we're not going to stop talking about you. You guys are terrible. Gen Alpha is more like an extension of you, or like just like another, like a worser version, which is pretty nasty, because you guys are pretty bad as it is. So just because Gen Alpha is worse doesn't mean you guys are not still terrible. Go back to your basement, do your pot and fart. That's really it. Let's see here. Peter says, hive-minded, godless cowards. Agreed. Truly a group of horrible individuals. Lizard says, just shameless. Agreed. Powell says, they are clones, Satan's seed. 100%. They're terrible people. Horrible people. Lizard says they're going to learn when draft started. Let's keep going. Iceberg says, facts. Gen Z needs too many back rubs and handouts. Handsome X says, they love evil. They 100% do. They're a bad group, but they're bad little muffins. Bad little muffins. Mal says, mandatory Yash says, evil causes mental illness. They go hand in hand. Hand in hand. Gur says, who wrote those books? Obviously, witches. That is what they said in 1983. Let's keep going. True says, people won't go to a draft, bro. They just come and pick you up. When they draft you, they just come to your house and pick you up. That's really how it is. They just come and get you. Yeah. Blast says, our enemies are salivating. They absolutely are. Ay. Gally says, bro, I just got an ad for Tinder. Guys, there was a video that I made talking about how messed up the politics are today, and they put like a Kamala Harris ad on it. Like, what the heck? Absolutely a disgrace. Blast says, I'm 5'4", not a problem. They'll take you too, bro. The military will come for you too. They don't give a damn. Crypto says, rumble for the win. Let's see here. Todd makes a nice point. He says, so anything against Marxist ideology is extremism. Look at what's happening in Venezuela right now with Maduro, guys. Like, it's insane. Cannot even talk about, like, what this dude is doing over there is crazy. Galax says, slaves work 9 to 5. CMDR says, the government should fear the people, not the other way around. That just shows you the level of tyranny that we live under today. That's why they want to get rid of the Second Amendment. Total control. Iceberg says, we need to know who's in charge here. Let's see here. Let's keep going. Brandon says, modern day slavery. Yeah, I mean, no man wants to fight for a society that hates them. We live in a society that absolutely hates us and then tells us that we should be grateful for it. We should be grateful to go and sacrifice our lives. That's what the job of men is, to go and sacrifice. It's about sacrifice. Guys, who says that? Demons. Why, guys, they are desperate to sacrifice as many of us as possible. Okay? That's what their goal is, to get rid of as many of us as possible, because remember, this is a society that hates us. It does not like us. This is not love. This is hate. This is hate. And of course, all the while that this is happening, an increasing number of boomers are ending up homeless. Yeah, guys, boomers are like the fastest generation of homeless people right now. And it's crazy, guys, because look at how women treat men, and then they wonder why men are just like completely abandoning society.
Hey, can I have a bite? I only got this one taco. You got all that food. Okay, but that looks really good. I said I wanted to try that one. This is the only thing I got. I only got one. I got one. I'm just gonna take a little bite. I don't want no ribs. I just want a little bite. Just a little one. Just a little one. You never share. I can't even get the first bite though. No, let me have it, and then you can have a rib. I don't want ribs. Why? I have a lot of them. I just don't want that. I told you I didn't want that. I want that. I want a taco. Let me have a bite. Let me have a bite. Come on. Here, just have it.
Quiet quitters of the pandemic, top earning men who tend to work more hours than everybody else. No group has cut back more on work over the last 3 years than this one. In 2022, they worked 77 hours less than they did in 2019. This is significant for two big reasons. The first is that it's a sign that Americans' love affair with overwork may slowly be ending. In most societies, the richer you are, the less you work. But that's not the case in the US. Here, the most demanding jobs happen to be the most lucrative ones. It's often men who end up at the top of professions like law, finance, consulting, that demand a lot of hours, what some academics call greedy work. Women get shut out of these jobs for all the usual reasons you can think of, like sexism, but also because women with kids don't have enough hours in the day to take on roles that are just quite so demanding. Instead, so much of their time is dedicated to childcare. This dynamic has really, really exacerbated the gender pay gap. But if men in these high-paying but demanding jobs are working less, that's a good thing for women. It helps reset the bar about what the ideal worker looks like, and hopefully that's one that's less tied to this notion of overwork.
So basically, their goal, their hope is that this is what the empowered women are hoping, is that as more men leave the workforce and drop out of the workforce, this will result in women being paid more for less work. Yeah. So the women will basically the women will basically that are in these fields will get paid more for less work. Men pay 80% of all taxes. Women make 80% of all consumer purchases. And women think that they're not going to make up for the men who are leaving these fields. Rather, they're going to get paid more for the jobs that remain and while working less. So it will give them leverage with employers so that they can say to employers, okay, well, we're not going to work anymore. We're going to work even less now, and you're going to pay us even more now because the men are gone, and there's nothing you can do about it. What they don't seem to realize is that there is something they can do about it. You know, they can replace them with AI. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy, y'all. This is crazy what's happening. I told you, we live in a society that absolutely despises us, does not like us, does not want us here. And, you know, you will always see the bots that are trying to drag men back. Don't listen to them. Do not listen to them, guys. Keep walking away. Keep walking away. They're the ones pushing men towards MGTOW. They're the reason why a lot of these guys are going their own way. They're the absolute cause of this. Shout out to Soho. He says, hey, Angry, what's up, man? You know, they created this monster. And they're going to have to deal with it. They're going to have to deal with all of this. All of the evil that they've done, they're going to have to deal with it themselves. You know, Robert says AI can replace a lot of the jobs that women are doing. They're the ones that are most vulnerable to losing their jobs to AI. You know? Guys, the future is going to be involved with a lot of destitution, a lot of homelessness, a lot of poverty, a lot of suffering, a lot of despair. and men are going to be blamed, but they're not going to look back. Men are just going to sit and watch as society burn. All right, men are going to watch as society collapses because this is society that does not like us, does not want us, and as soon as it doesn't need us again, it will only continue to actively work towards getting rid of us. By the way, guys, if you're enjoying the content, subscribe to our newsletter for my personal thoughts, insights, and a free copy of my ebook, The Blueprint for Escaping the Rat Race. Click the link in the description to get your free copy. What do you guys think regarding all of this? Society is about to collapse and men don't care. Let me know your thoughts and we'll talk about it in the comments. Like the video if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. And if you like the video, share the video. And just remember that all roads lead to MWA Men walking away. And cheers.